Hi, this is Ariel Grace from A Gang of Girls Radio, and I'm also the author of I'm Psychic, Not Telepathic, because I am. So tonight we're going to be talking about Bellamy Bridge. We did an investigation at paranormal investigation at Bellamy Bridge last week. I think it was last week. Wow. Hey, Penny. So we're going to be talking about that and handy tips for investigating, because some of you want to do that, and I want to make sure that you got it going on there. Okay, so I have some announcements to make. So if you guys are interested in an astrology consult, you can check out Rockin' Reverend Rhonda at karmiclaw.com. You can check out Theo for a psychic medium reading at psychictheo.com. And if you need a cord cutting ceremony, check out my friend Melinda Carver here on Facebook. You can make an appointment with her. She's rocking. Awesome. All right. And so, hi, Lisa. There's Susan. All right. So, I posted today some Mother Mary necklaces. And if you saw them, awesome. If you want one, get in line. Because I think I sold all the ones that I have now. So what you can do is send me an email at agangofgirlsinc@gmail.com, or you can check out my website this week. I'll be posting links this week for the Mary necklaces and the Kuan Yin necklaces. There's some other stuff that's going up as well. It's on my website at arielgrace.net. And if you click on the Sacred Tools tab, you're going to see a page under construction. So let me know if you want a Mother Mary pendant or necklace, and I'll see what I can do. Okay. I'm making them this week for Christmas. So they look pretty cool. And the pendant, the Mother Mary pendant, is pewter. It's made in Lourdes, France. It's one of the places where an apparition of Mother Mary appeared. And so I was lucky enough to buy some more. And so I'm making necklaces now. It takes a minute to do it, but they're fun to make and they're really pretty. I don't know. I don't have a charm near me right now, but they are from Lourdes, France. Hey, Iris. Hey, Bonnie. Bonnie. All right, so that's the Mother Mary thing right there. All right, I'm doing $50 Friday on 10/23. I have a morning appointment and a couple afternoon appointments available. So please send me an email at agangofgirlsinc and at gmail.com to book your appointment, okay? All right, so it's October, and every October, we talk about the paranormal. We talk about places that are haunted, and we talk about as an investigator, what you can do to have a good investigation. Okay, so when I was in New Orleans, I got a hold of my friend Susan Todd because I hadn't seen her in forever, and because of COVID, I wasn't, we couldn't see each other. So I was in New Orleans, but I called her and I said, hey, I'm going to stop in Panama City because, it's like a halfway point on my way home. And Siri lied and said that it only takes 9 hours to get home. It actually takes 12 hours. So she was like, yeah, okay, cool. And she put together a paranormal investigation at Bellamy Bridge. So I got to see some of you. I actually got to meet you. And it was really cool because it's always fun to meet people in person, So I got to meet you. and it was very fun for me. We went to Bellamy Bridge, and it's someplace that Susan has been telling me about for a while. And we investigated the Russ house, and I might be able to talk about the Russ house a little bit at the end of this. But ever since, and like, because when I go to a place as a psychic medium, I did not look up anything about Bellamy Bridge. I knew we would end up there someday, and that day was like a week ago. It was really fun, and so we're gonna go over some paranormal stuff, and then we're gonna talk about the experience that we had at Bellamy Bridge. But first, I do want to thank Susan and Tracy Todd because it was very fun. You could check out some of their evidence for Bellamy Bridge at emeraldcoastparanormalconcepts.com. Check out their evidence. You'll like it. It's fun. It's cool. And they work hard to get this evidence. So if you're really interested in the paranormal, check out their website because they've got quite a bit of evidence there. And you'll be interested to see what they have. You will. All right, because I've seen it in action. It's pretty cool. All right, but I do want to thank the people that did join us. Okay, so there was quite a good group. It was a great group, actually. So I want to thank Brandy Blackburn, Greg Pybus, Nancy Silva, Cecilia Spears, Selena Granger and her husband, Jessie Harlow and her husband, Kaylee, Jennifer, Michelle, Heather, Derek, and Jason. And most of all, my friend Tara. Because, baby, it was very fun for us. All right. So, we went with Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts. Susan and Tracy Todd are the ones that run this paranormal investigative team. All right. And they're really awesome to work with. They're very patient. They are. And they're really good at explaining how to use the lighty beepy things. Paranormal tools. I don't know what they're called. I don't really pay that much attention to what they're called. I just know that they work when I use them. Most of the time, I just use a light thing. It's the thing that just lights up all over whenever I'm holding it. So, or whenever I'm asking questions. All right, so that's the lighty beepy thing. And that's what I use. And I usually use one of theirs. All right, so they can teach you actually quite a bit. They've taught me quite a bit. So the first thing a paranormal investigator does is research the history of the property you will be exploring. All right, since I'm not a paranormal investigator, and I don't claim to be at all, I don't usually do any research until after I've been to the place. If it interests me. If it doesn't interest me, then I don't research it. But because when I go in, I like go in without any knowledge of the place. Maybe sometimes I'll know where it is, like the address or whatever, because I got to get there, right? So, and then I do a walkthrough, and then I do a write-up as to like what I felt when I felt it. I don't do any EVP sessions, nothing like that. Sometimes I'll bring a book with me to write in the book my impressions. And then what I do is I write up like a report, and I send it to the paranormal investigative team. And then they consider it as after they do their initial investigation. Okay, so, but this is something that I do know. I do know that it's always good to know like where you're going, why it might be haunted. And so a lot of paranormal investigators spend time researching their place because they want to know like what could be wrong with the house, or they want to debunk things. They want to break it down so that they can figure out what really is going on. Okay, so this is some things I found out about the bridge after I went to the bridge, and I thought it was very interesting. So the bridge was built in 1914. Okay. When we were there, the water was really high up, so we didn't actually get to the bridge. It might be down now, so you go check it out. The history of Bellamy Bridge. Oh, okay. Wait a second. Sorry. The historic Bellamy Bridge was built in 1851 at the upper Chipola River. It was swept away by a flood, built again in 1874, then rebuilt in 1914. It is the oldest steel frame bridge in Florida. It is one of 10 oldest bridges in the state. The bridge is located at 405 7B Highway 162 in Marianna, Florida. It's a really pretty area too. I mean, it's just lush. It's beautiful. Yeah. So if you just want to go hiking up there, remember to bring a friend though. Okay. So the first recorded crossing of the Chipola River was by the explorer Marcos Delgado in 1686. He reported leaving what is now called the Blue Springs and passing around the head of a smaller spring before arriving at the Chipola River. There, the water was about 6 feet deep, and the horses and men were able to swim across. The Bellamy Bridge vicinity is the only area in the Upper Chipola that matches the geographic descriptions of Delgado's journal. Hey, Courtney. Hi, Candy. Candy's my cousin, everyone. Say hi to her. Okay, so during the first Seminole War of 1817 to 1818, the people of the Lower Creek town, I can't say this word, but it starts with an E, used the area along the west side of the Chipola River as a hiding place for both themselves and their livestock. March 1818, U.S. forces under Brigadier General William McIntosh attacked their camp in the Chipola River area, killing 10 warriors and capturing more than 180 men, women, and children. Okay, so remember that. All right. So Edward C. Bellamy purchased the land where Bellamy Bridge stands today and moved there with his wife Anne in 1836. Anne was the sister of Elizabeth Jane Crown Bellamy. She is the center of a legend connected to Bellamy Bridge. You can check out that legend. You can go to bellamybridge.org history /history, and you can check it out. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so never investigate on your own. Okay, it's just like hiking. You don't want to investigate by yourself. You always bring a friend with you. Bring a friend that doesn't get afraid. All right. You should also have with you a flashlight, because you never know how long you're going to be investigating if you get there in the daylight. Okay. And you should have a recorder and a notepad. Okay? Tell you why in a minute. The recorder is for EVP, electronic voice phenomena. Okay? When collecting EVP, I will always ask a question, and then I count to 10 using alligators. So like I go 1 alligator, 2 alligator, 3 alligator, 4 alligator. So I count that in my head to give the spirit enough time to answer before I ask another question. Okay? So, and if there are noises going on in the background or something, like maybe there's some wind, your stomach grumbles, you hit some rocks and they tumble, all you have to do is say, that sound was rocks tumbling, something like that, to the recorder, so that you already know, you will know when you hear it, that's what it is. All right. taking pictures is always good because you never know what the picture is going to look like. I mean, sometimes I take pictures. It looks like I'm taking pictures of like a dark area, and then it ends up there's something there when I look at it again. So that's, taking pictures is a good thing. Taking video is good, while you're doing an investigation, because you never know when you go back to look at it what you're going to find. And I have found some pretty cool stuff after going through a place and like checking it out, and then I go back and look at my pictures or video, and I'm like, oh wow, there it was. So there's proof of the paranormal. What is it? Paranormal. Okay, so be aware of where you are during your investigation and what's going on around you, always during an investigation, because you never know what could happen. So, as I said, I am not a paranormal investigator. I am a psychic. That's what I am. And so, when I go into a place, I don't usually know anything about it. So I walk in, I close my eyes, I take a breath, and I just kind of open myself up so I can hear, see, and feel what's going on. Right? Okay. So, before the investigation, when I was still talking to Susan about it, I got that we needed some rose quartz. We needed some rose quartz for the area because it needed some love, right? So I told Susan about it. Susan was like, okay, well, I'll check. And then I went and got some rose quartz. And when we got to Bellamy Bridge, we had some rose quartz. Wasn't exactly sure why. And Tracy had a good question about this. Will the rose quartz make the spirits want to leave? No. What's going to happen if you put rose quartz down in a place that is kind of agitated is that it will start to calm it. You'll start to be able to communicate with the spirits easier, better. And so that's why I always recommend the monster spray on my website, because that also will calm the spirits. Sometimes they'll leave too, but the rose water, what it does is rose represents love, and love calms everything, right? Because love is very calming. In this instance, what the rose quartz was for was to kind of calm down some of the agitated spirits there, so it would be easier to talk to them. I mean, you don't want a spirit telling you to get the heck out while you're trying to talk to it, right? You may want it to, an intelligent spirit, you want to have a conversation with it. And that's what the rose quartz did. What it did was, when we came in to down the path, there is a bench. One of the first things that you'll get to is a bench. And at this bench, there's a guardian. That guardian is, he is a spirit. He is a guardian spirit. He guards and protects the land. And he was agitated. So while I was sitting on the bench, I could feel him. I could really feel him at my crown chakra. And I could feel in my heart that he was agitated. So what I did was, Susan handed me the rose quartz, and I tossed it in back of me, and I said, here's my gift to you. I'm so very thankful that you're letting me sit here on this bench and explore this area tonight so I can understand it better. And when I threw the rose quartz in back of me, I started to feel like, oh, she gave me a gift. And it was rose quartz. So I gave him some love. And after that, it kind of smoothed out a little bit. I'm not saying that he wasn't on guard, but what I'm saying is that the energy kind of lightened up a little bit there. So, and that's what it felt like too. So when you go to investigate too, you should always ask permission. You should always be respectful to spirits, because they were human once too. And so they understand politeness. Be polite. Don't be a bully. Nobody likes bullies. Okay? Okay. All right. So, hi, Tracy. Hi, Harsha. All right. So, when we were walking, I got to see my friend Tara. And Tara had the recorder on, and Tara and I were walking, and we kept feeling like somebody was walking with us, like a spirit was walking with us, but they were not walking with us on the path. They were walking in the woods, like we're walking. Well, they were walking in the woods watching us, and we felt that the entire night. There are places on that path before you even get to the water, the bridge, where it is cold. I mean, cold. You know, Florida's not really cold. And it wasn't really cold that night either. But it was chilly. And we also felt pressure on our crowns. We felt pressure on our backs. I felt one of the things that I did feel, and I asked one of the spirits about this, was, why are so many of you here? And one of the spirits said to me, it's because of the hurricane. And I was like, Sandy? They're like, no, the big one, the big hurricane. And I thought, Michael. And they were like, yes. And they said that they ended up there. So like, I felt like there were these spirits that had not been there for very long, but they liked it. But, you know, they were intelligent, and they're kind of transient. You know, like maybe they moved through there a lot, but they weren't staying there all the time. And so I felt like, too, that some of the spirits were waiting for us to get there, like they knew we were coming. And so that was an interesting feeling as well. When we got closer to the water, I could feel the ancient Indian village. Like I could feel that they stayed there sometimes, that there was some permanence to it. But again, you know, a lot of Native Americans moved around a lot, but I felt like this village, maybe sometimes there were people that were there consistently, you know, and then the others would leave and then come back or whatever. So I did feel that. From the native spirits, I did feel like welcomed, not like I was trespassing, and I was grateful for that too. There is a lot of residual Native American energy there, though. It's residual energy. So that means that it's energy that it's things that have happened over and over and over again, that still, that energy is still in that area, which is very interesting to me, because there is water there. And usually where there's water, and if there's a haunting, it's the water kind of amplifies the haunting, right? So it feeds it. Okay, so as we kept walking down the little path there, we kept feeling, you know, our person like walking with us, and Tara and I kept pointing out to places where he might be, and Tara was taking pictures. Now I don't know if she got an actual apparition or anything. She hasn't told me. But we could feel it, feel him like watching us. And by the time we got to the water, we were standing pretty close to the water, and I was throwing rose quartz. I was just tossing it around to give to the spirits for love. We were standing pretty close to the water, and Tara was like, somebody's pulling my hair. And I'm like, oh, I'm not. You know, and I wasn't really even standing that close to her. And she's like, I know. She goes, let's move. And I said, okay. So we moved over. I think we moved closer to Tracy. He had a circle of people, and I think they were doing EVP sessions. And then he brought out one of his lighty beepy things. What was it called? A REM pod. Yes, he brought out his REM pod. And so we stood close to Tracy, and they were doing an EVP session, and then Tara said again, my hair's getting pulled again. I was like, okay, well, let's move over here. So we did move again. And I think after the third time we moved, her hair stopped getting pulled. And then afterwards, Susan said, yeah, there's somebody down there that pulls hair. And we were like, oh, thanks. So we decided, instead of just hanging out where the EVP session was going on, we were going to go walk back up the path towards the cars. And so we started walking back up, and we stopped several times because we felt like there were a lot of people around us. And I can't remember if we did another EVP session ourselves or not, but we kept seeing orbs streaking across, like they would streak across the path, and then they would streak down into the forest. And so we're like, oh. And Tara was like, I gotta get pictures of this. So she did. She got some great pictures of the zooms. That's what we call them. And so you can see the orbs zooming across the camera lens. It was really pretty awesome. And they were colorful, so like the different colors. Okay, so we just told the spirits, you want to walk with us? Cool. We just don't want to be cold. Because our backs kept getting really cold. Our fronts weren't cold, but our backs were cold. And so when we got back up to the bench, Susan was up at the bench, and the feeling at the bench also had gone down a couple notches too. So it felt calmer. It felt more quieter. And not necessarily because all the spirits were down by the water with Tracy and the REM pod, but because it just felt better up there. And I hope it continues to feel better up there. It didn't feel like you were being like squashed. So Susan has a pretty good connection to this particular guardian. And I do feel like it's because the area, the guardian is used to seeing her there, or he's seen her there a couple times, and she has connected with him. And so he is Native American, so if you ever go to Bellamy Bridge, I do recommend that you stop at that first bench and you do state your intention for being there. Okay, he's been there for a long time. He really has. And you have to appreciate a guardian that will do that. Like stay and guard his land. Yeah? Okay, so we did get some really good pictures. It is a beautiful place to go to. If you want to read about it, I did do a blog last week on it. You can go to my website, arielgrace.net, click on Clarity 101, and you'll see the blog there. I think it says Paranormal Investigation at Bellamy Bridge. Yeah. So it is a phenomenal, just as far as nature goes, it's a phenomenal place to go. But please, if you're going to investigate or even just take a walk there, make sure that you bring somebody with you. Okay? Always have somebody with you when you do something like that. All right. So if you have questions or anything about this, you can leave them in the comments. It's I can see everybody here. Hey, I'm so glad you joined me. So I'm going to just briefly talk about the rest house as well, because that's another place that I've been to with Tracy and Susan. And I like the rest house too. It's a beautiful historic home. Okay. And that's what they call it, the historic rest house. You can do day tours, and you can, I think, still, but call first and see if they're open. And that way, oh, you're welcome, Susan. So call the rest house first before you go, okay? Because they might be closed because of COVID and stuff. It is a beautiful house to go look at and to be in. It is a historic site built from 1892 to 1895 in Marianna, Florida. It serves as Jackson County's visitor center, located at 4318 West Lafayette Street. Let's see, on July 18, 1983, the house was added to the U.S. National Register of Historic Places. And when you see it, you're going to be like, oh my God, wow. So the house was originally built in a Victorian style, but it was remodeled in 1910 when the rounded two-story porches and beautiful columns were added. It has been a Mariana landmark since the day it was built and overlooks the intersection of Lafayette and Russ Streets. The yard of the house is hollowed ground, although the Russ house itself had not been built at the time. The intersection of Lafayette and Russ was the spot where the heaviest fighting of the Battle of Mariana began on September 27th, 1864, then called Ely Corner. The intersection was the point where the Union 2nd Maine Cavalry charged into heavy fire laid down by the Confederate troops. Okay, so the first time I went to the Russ house, that's what I saw. I saw the soldiers. Kind of not, they didn't look bad or, they didn't look like they were dying or anything, but they were hanging out in the yard. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I saw the servants of the house, the servants that remained for the house the first time I was there. So they were there welcoming people. They also knew that we were coming. And Susan took us on a little tour of the house while Tracy set up the upstairs. And it is a beautiful house. It really is. And you have to experience it. You have to experience the parlor and the nice spirit that comes down there, and she smells good and she's welcoming and very nice. I think she's like a cousin of the Russes or something. Anyway, so upstairs is beautiful as well. There's a conference room upstairs. And the first time I was there, I spent most of my time in the conference room with Tracy. Because when I got into the conference room, I sat down at the table and Mr. Russ sat next to me. And he was like, you can hear me. I was like, yeah. So Tracy asked me a bunch of questions about Mr. Russ while he was sitting there with me. And I answered the questions as best as I could. There are some people that think that Mr. Russ committed suicide in the house. He did not. He did not want to contaminate the house. So he did commit suicide down the road at his girlfriend's house. So he committed suicide because the stock market crashed. And he couldn't get a loan. He couldn't get any money at all. And so he felt awful. He felt depressed, and so he decided just to end it all. But the Russ family were able to keep the house, keep the land or property, and so I believe there was still a Russ person living there until it was donated to the city. I think it was donated to the city. Anyway, it is a good place to go to check it out. If there are any investigations, I know Emerald Coast Paranormal Concepts, I know that they have run paranormal investigations in the past, and most likely they will in the future. So if you go to their Facebook page, you can check out what they post up there, and you can follow them and see where they're going to be next. And if they're holding public investigations, I encourage you to go with them, because you will learn a lot about an investigation, how they work, what to do, and you'll see that, it is exciting in not a wild and crazy way. Well, sometimes it can be, but at the Russ house, it won't be. There's a lot of really nice spirits there that will talk to you, very intelligent spirits. So, so try those two places if you're in Florida, and see what happens. You never know what could happen, right? All right. So I've had a couple of requests for looking at other haunted places in the United States. I'm looking in the United States. So I'm doing some research. I'm finding some haunted places. I'm going to share some experiences with you as well from Illinois, Bachelor's Grove. I'm going to be sharing some experiences with you from Virginia and also New Mexico, along with other haunted places. I'll be sharing some haunted stuff on a Gang of Girls radio page, so I'm going to share one a day or something like that that I find research on and that I think is interesting. I did share Omar's video from when he went to the Queen Mary, and it's pretty good. He's a funny guy. And there's some other ones. If you want to check out some other really cool places, YouTube has a really good selection. But the Speakeasy channel is actually that's a good place because they do cover historic stuff. Remember too, when you're looking at your research, to look at the legends and look at the truth. Okay, make sure you're getting the truth, not the legends. Because oftentimes the legends are based on truth, but not really. Because like every haunted bridge has a white lady ghost. Every one of them. Or a green lady, or a blue lady, or red, whatever color. There's always a lady that has, had unfortunate events happen to her. And so make sure that you're looking at the true history of the place, not just the legends. Okay? Because a lot of stuff gets made up. Okay. All right. So that's what I have for you tonight. If you do have questions about the video, you can always leave them down in the comments because I'll go back and look at it. I'll pin the video up on Facebook and then I'm uploading to YouTube tonight. So there's 2 ways that you can watch again or watch it if you joined us later. Okay? All right. So everyone, have a wonderful week. Okay? Stay safe and keep your hearts open and aligned with the energy of love. All right? Good night, everyone.